Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater, and MJ. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing Netflix's second film, the 2015 Western comedy The Ridiculous Six, directed by Frank Coraci and starring Adam Sandler, Terry Crews, Jorge Garcia, Taylor Lautner, Rob Schneider, and Luke Wilson. So we always start off with our episode by doing a quick 30-second summary of the film called Fast Flix, and we're going to start off with Heater today.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for having me today. So, The Ridiculous Six. A white man raised by Indians must find, mainly through robbery, $50,000 to save his birth father from an outlaw gang. Along his journey, he finds out he has 5 half-brothers who join him in their quest to save their father.
that's you fleshed that out pretty well.
My summary.
I'm looking forward to talking about this one. I've gone with an aptly named spoof comedy starring a cast of blokes who should have known better. Still, they have the ability to draw you in, and I actually found it impossible to ignore a certain charm to it.
Ooh, charm. Very nice.
Should have known better might be one of the best summaries of this film.
Alright, so I've gone with a white man is brought up by a Native American tribe. His long-lost father arrives to reacquaint himself with his son before he's kidnapped by a gang who he owes money to. The boy decides he must get the money for his dad, so he starts on a journey to steal the money. Along the way, he comes across 5 brothers he didn't know he had. When they finally find their father, they realise he was just playing them and doesn't want anything to do with them. The boy turns on their father, and they all move back with the Native American tribe and live happily ever after.
Excellent, Jesse, excellent.
Just listening to that, like someone spent the time to write that script and sent it to a bunch of agents, and a lot of people said, yeah, I've got a guy for you that wants to do this film. It's staggering. Absolutely staggering.
Well, I guess as we're about to get into some history and facts, just based on what you said there, sent it to a bunch of studios. This film was dropped by 3 studios before Netflix picked it up. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know what the funniest thing was with this, though, is that it actually enjoyed #1 spot in every territory that Netflix operate in, and at the time when it came out, it was still #1 for a very long time. And I think Variety was the one that publicised the fact that it had been seen it had been seen more times in 30 days than any other movie in Netflix history.
I could not believe that.
Staggering, but
that as well. I went, you are surely joking.
Well, when it came out, there was a lot of hype around it. Like they promoted it massively, and I guess realistically, it's like their second feature film, original feature film. Yeah. So, not too hard a record to break, I guess.
No, I think that included any Netflix film. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just their own films.
Yeah.
Any films that were on
any
Netflix.
film that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Some great films on Netflix.
Yeah, but people aren't going to go back and watch it in massive amounts when it's an old movie.
Releases.
I don't know. That's what I've been doing.
It kind of worked, didn't it? Because like it is. Yeah, people are curious to see this new Netflix film, and it's got so many familiar names. Where you're like,
it does have a lot
this
of.
would be easy to watch. And it was easy to watch.
And like when Adam Sandler signed on for this, I think he signed, was it a 4 or 5? Four movie deal with Netflix. So obviously we'll get into a few of those in the coming weeks. I think there's one in a couple of weeks' time. So
it is, yeah.
I don't know. Like there was a lot of controversy around this film as well. The way that they treated the Native Americans.
Portrayals,
it was racist. Like the film was racist.
What of actors and actresses they walked off the set?
Yeah, and
in protest. Because of and how they were portraying the Apache culture. And
the Netflix's response to that was, the movie has ridiculous in the title for a reason, because it's ridiculous. It's a broad satire of Western movies and the stereotypes they popularised, featuring a diverse cast that is not only part of it, but in on the joke. So Netflix didn't even back down on it either. So
and how can you back down from it?
It was quite obvious that not everyone was in on that joke, because there was a lot of people that walked off the set and went, nah, this is...
It got some really bad backlash, didn't it?
Yeah. One thing I found very fascinating was the budget. It had a $60 million budget, and last week we reviewed Beasts of No Nation, which had a $6 million budget.
Yeah, but think about what those actors are. That's where all the money's going.
Shouldn't have paid that much.
That's why they all did it.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of like 20 films that holds a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, bless.
So
I did flick through a few reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and people were just so offended. A part of me, I still don't mind the Netflix stance. Not really the stance to the overt racism, but the stance of this film is called The Ridiculous Six. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is true.
Can you really get mad at a film? It's not. It's just saying what it says on the label. Like when you watch it, you're like, oh, what the hell's going on here? But you're like, oh, well, they warned me. Like, I think that's why I found that little bit of charm to it.
So, any other, like, obviously there's a lot of people in this film that are in a lot of other Adam Sandler films. Your Rob Schneider's obviously, has he appeared in every Adam Sandler film? Possibly, something like that.
Steve Buscemi's in quite he's in quite a few.
I actually think he was good in this.
I did enjoy Steve Buscemi in this movie.
They were ridiculous. Like, the scenes he were in were ridiculous, though. Like,
I mean, we can talk about later in scenes, but the one thing that I loved at the Steve Buscemi was the throwback to Billy Madison, where he's putting the ointment on his lips, which is similar to Bill Madison, where he crosses off Billy off his kid with his lipstick, and then he puts the lipstick on his lips. I enjoyed that little throwback to Billy Madison.
but like, who comes up with that scene where he's got that cream and he's just rubbing it on people's
I didn't mind that.
Really?
that ointment that just fixes everything. And then at the end, you just stick the head on. I quite enjoyed that. And that actually brings me. This is the one question that I wanted to ask you guys. And did you guys watch this film by yourself, sitting by yourself?
Yes, I did.
So when you watch a comedy by yourself, it's harder to laugh out loud. You don't feed off other people. Was there a moment in this film that you actually laughed?
Not out loud, no.
Yeah. And that's not to smile and...
It was quite a funny film, I would smile and smirk and be like, oh yeah, that was pretty good, but I don't think I
didn't laugh out loud, Jesse?
Nah.
I did 3 times.
I had one.
Yeah, what did you...
I had, and I still think it's very funny, is when Rob Schneider's burro, or the donkey, did that really dry fart.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's a dry one. We'll have dry weather tomorrow. I thought that was very good.
So I was, like, going into this movie, I had this expectation that I was not going to laugh. And so I was waiting. So it was 37 minutes in was my first laugh.
Okay.
And I had 3 laughs. The first laugh I had was when they were trying to go to sleep and they're trying to get rid of the fly that's buzzing around them while they're sleeping. And then Rob Schneider's character, Ramon, he gets his gun out and goes, I'll do it like a Mexican. And he shoots little Pete's horse. Like, I thought the guy next door was going to wake up. I actually laughed pretty loud. And the second one I thought wasn't bad was when they were going around and Rob Schneider's like, oh, my mum was Swedish.
That actually was a very good.
And the last one was like, just Terry Crews is like, I can play the piano with my man parts. And I was like, who comes up with this stuff? Like,
Rob Schneider's comedic timing in this was actually really good. Yeah. And he's been around and he's been a bit part player for a long time. But I thought he was pretty good in this. In fact, I actually thought and this is I don't know if we're going into this too early, but I want to talk about Taylor Lautner.
Would love to talk about him.
Is he that desperate for a role like that? Why? Like, what do they say in Tropic Thunder? Never go full retard.
Yeah.
Like that was a shocking role. And
what was he thinking?
His comedic timing compared to some of those guys was just awful. Like, everything about him was, it was just crass and it was blunt, and you didn't.
Quite cringeworthy, I thought, to watch him.
Massively.
I kind of went back and had a look. So he did the Twilight movies, and him in the Twilight, he had a role in Valentine's Day, which was a pretty big movie. After that, he got a lead role in a movie called Abduction, which was a John Singleton movie. He's a good director. It didn't do that well. But since then, he did this and a couple other movies where on IMDb they got about a 5 stars out of 10. He's just kind of...
Okay, so that's where he's at. I mean,
it seems like he's he had some good moments in Twilight, Valentine's Day, but I think he's just desperate.
I don't think that the script helped him either.
Not at all. But why do you agree to it? That's what I mean.
That was the thing. I can't believe he took that role.
The part that annoyed me the most was his constant voiceovers where he's writing his letters to his mum.
Yeah.
And like, literally, it's like, if you think the audience is as dumb as his character, like, what hope have you got? Like, it was literally like blatantly, oh, we've done this now. I'm like, yeah, we know it. We saw it and heard it, so we didn't need you to tell us that as well.
There was nothing significant about him and his mum either, apart from the fact that he was just obviously had the intellectual level of a child, so he's still... But mate, he's reading a script and agreeing to a role where they're talking about a diversion, and he says, "Oh, I'm a virgin too, unless you count cantaloupes." And he's like, "I'll do it. I'm going to do that role." Like, I couldn't believe it.
You have to get a lot of money.
And I thought like the setup for his character when we first met him, he's like, oh, I've got a real strong neck.
Yeah,
I was like, that is the worst like plot point. Oh, obviously something's going to happen about his neck.
Yeah,
And,
Luke Wilson. I can hold my breath for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's going to come back at all.
I was actually a fan of Luke Wilson's character in this. I like it. I'm just in general a fan of Luke Wilson. I like his work. I like Luke Wilson in this.
The Abraham Lincoln subplot.
That was brilliant.
Where did that come from?
That scene was great.
That was ridiculous. It
was.
Like,
I just found it as he's walking past John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, yeah, he's just in there.
Huge
How
fan.
you going? I like Luke Wilson. I did like that.
if I was Luke Wilson and I saw like I was going to be playing Abe's bodyguard and I let him die, like, okay, maybe people might think that that's a bit ridiculous, but that's
So
okay.
why did all these people agree to do it? Was it the chance to work with like Adam Sandler? Or was it the money? Like,
maybe is Adam Sandler just
but
cashing in favours that these guys owe him? Maybe going, hey guys, can you all jump in with this movie?
But is it someone saying, hey, we're going to build an ensemble comedy?
Yeah.
It's going to have Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, Luke Wilson, Terry Crews,
Like, do you want
I
it?
don't know,
Maybe
is
it's
there
going to
an
be a lot
appeal
of
there?
fun filming, maybe.
maybe.
Maybe it was like, about the...
Well,
I don't know.
like I said before, 60 million budget. Most of that's gone to them, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not going for much else.
Yeah. As we talk about more actors and stuff, I think I've said before, I'm a massive fan of Quentin Tarantino, and one of the big staples of his film is Harvey Keitel, who I absolutely love. And I hated the fact that he did this movie.
But everyone just like John Lovitz and David Spade, and like they all agreed to these really offensive roles.
I know. Any time that Danny Trejo's in it, it makes a cameo is always brilliant.
just one of the worst Adam Sandler films you've seen.
Oh, it's up there. It's definitely up there. I mean, I'm not sure why I watched Click, but I watched Click. That wasn't great. Yeah, I mean, he's just gone downhill, hasn't he?
I still have a massive soft spot for Adam Sandler. Like we were 6 or 7 years old when Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore came out. And those movies stay with you. Like that's the reason that you
Big
love
Daddy
comedy.
was brilliant.
Daddy Waterboy.
The Waterboy. That was all fantastic.
Don't mess with the Zohan.
Well, that's the thing now. Like, I was going to ask, like, does he even care? Is he just earning a paycheck now? Like, what's he doing?
Yeah, from all reports, his stand-up comedy on Netflix is very good. So he's... But yeah, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, growing up, he was the man. He was
He was
comedy.
the funniest.
Yeah.
Those were the movies that you watched just on repeat, like as a child. Like,
what do you think of him in this movie? Do you think he was just going through the motions, or do you think he was kind of his character was quite unique? Like it wasn't a typical Adam Sandler character.
I don't know. I wouldn't say he was just going through the motions. Like, I think he put in effort.
Yeah, I feel like there was an investment there.
I just felt like, I mean, just from the very start when he kind of is introduced, and there's the eye patch gang, and he goes to fight him, and he's got that weird fighting thing where he's doing a handstand towards him and stuff. Straight from there, I'm just like, okay, well, this is what it's going to be. So I guess it was kind of hard to realize what's Adam Sandler doing here when it's just that crazy. Kind of.
I actually think I messaged both you guys in that scene, and I said like
struggling here.
This is gonna be tough.
Yeah.
None of us mentioned George Garcia's character. I like George Garcia.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I really like him.
Lost and
he was
good in Alcatraz too.
Hawaii Five-0 and like
why do it?
Why do it? Why
we got this role for you where
you
no one
don't
really see you and you don't speak. But you're one of the 6, so yeah.
I think from reading, he was like one of the last to sign on. So I don't know whether he's
strange move.
Anyone could have done it.
Anyone? Yeah, exactly.
I almost laughed there when he was doing his imitations of the guy shooting when he didn't have a head off. I didn't mind that.
And then he's doing the imitation of his dad and his mum, and it's like,
yeah.
nah, that's just cringeworthy.
Cringeworthy. That sums up the film very.
I didn't mind Terry Crews' character.
I love Terry Crews. I think Terry Crews is great, but it didn't fit. Like. And the whole I want to tell you guys a secret. I'm black. I was like, oh come on.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
No.
Again, like, why are you doing this, Terry?
Yeah. Also because I guess I watched this movie a few days ago, and I reckon it was only a week or two ago that I finished off the latest season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he's so great in that, and it's just such a different comparison. I'm like, what are you doing, guys?
But you're right. I like Terry Crews, so like I sit there and. When he's on screen, I'm happy because he's Terry Crews, and look, as I said, similar with Rob Schneider, I thought his timing was pretty.
He was good. He was good.
Are there any, like, off the top of your head, really bad jokes that you just thought fell flat?
I really found the whole singing around the campfire scene cringeworthy. I just as soon as that started, I was just sitting there going, nah, I really just didn't enjoy that scene. I found it real cringeworthy. So I guess not really just a single joke in whole, just that entire scene. I felt that hard. That was hard for me.
Apart from all the stuff we've already mentioned, which, a lot of everything Lil Pete says or Taylor Lautner says, cantaloupes with his strong neck, with his constant reference to his third nipple.
Yeah.
Where do babies come from? The mum just poops them out. Like, apart from all that stuff, I thought even the Indian names were pretty ridiculous. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was a beaver breath in there. And
there was
never wears a bra.
Never wears a bra. Who was played by Adam Sandler's wife?
I noticed that when I checked.
Never wears bra.
Things like that.
There was a joke where Adam Sandler's character was like talking about horses committing suicide by drinking too much water, and I was like, really? Like, is that supposed to be funny? And then they ride towards a rock that looks like a penis.
Didn't mind that.
Really? Why?
There's always room for a penis joke. If we're going to talk about some of the lowbrow stuff that's in here, penis joke's not that.
And then towards the end, when Cicero gets that knife to his head, that's some of the worst CGI I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, okay.
Horrible.
They spent all the money on the cast.
No special effects allowed. And like the donkey or whatever it is, always doing those sharts. Like, that's just like,
the first one was funny. The first one was funny.
Like, it was so obvious what was going to happen.
When you got to about the fourth or the fifth one, I was like, oh, you can't just keep repeating this along.
That was his thing. The first one was funny in the sense where you're like, oh, okay, so this is poo joke territory. This is where we're at with this film. Like, but it goes back to the fact that it's called The Ridiculous Six.
It's supposed to be.
How mad
ridiculous.
can you get at it? Like, are you annoyed that you go, oh, well, this is not what I was expecting?
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see a critic, because critics don't like comedies at the best of time because comedies are below them. So I would love to see someone just be like, look, just embrace it for what it is. I'll tell you right now, there's every chance that I'll watch that movie again, and I didn't enjoy it, but I'll put it on when I'm cooking dinner or people are over and it's just on. Like, it's okay in that sense.
There were some great scenes. Ones I really enjoyed. I really liked it at the end where Steve Zahn's character, he's trying to work out if the money's real, and he finds out the rest of the gang they didn't pull out their eye. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. They're like, oh, whoops, sorry.
Tell me you saw that coming though.
Oh, absolutely. But I still enjoyed the reveal of it all.
I think the scene where they show him taking his eye out was cleverly done. Like the shadow, really the silhouette against the cave. So
I mean, for me, being a massive baseball fan, I really loved the baseball scene.
I thought that was really clever.
The invention of baseball was really good with all the little tidbits and, the strike two. No, I said 3 strikes and, your shortstop and all those little tidbits in there. I really enjoyed.
So I put this down as a question to ask you guys because you two are the biggest baseball fans I know. What did you think of that scene? Obviously, you both loved it.
Loved it. Yeah.
Did you hang around after the credits?
I did. Yeah, I did.
I didn't think that really. There was a scene after the credits.
It wasn't needed.
Just going back to that baseball game.
Yeah, I really loved all kind of his rules on the spot. 2 teams of 10. There's only 18 of us. 2 teams of 9, and stealing a base, the four balls for a walk.
Yeah.
We played 9 innings. All right, that's the game. Then
hitting it so far, so that's a home run.
That's a home run. I'm not fielding that. Yeah.
So that was funny. I thought it was funny, but it didn't fit. Like, it felt to me like this is a scene that the studios had for a while. Yeah. And they're like, oh, where are we going to fit this? Yeah. If not, we'll put it on Saturday Night Live or on Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. And they just put it in. And my issue with that was this film was 2 hours. This was 2 hours.
Yeah, but that was the best 15 minutes of the film for me.
No, but there was so much stuff like this. Like, even once they got the money stolen and they had to go get it again, it's like, do we need to go to another town and do another...
Yeah.
Like, this did not deserve to be 2 hours.
It should have been a flat 90 minutes.
And I thought it was 90 minutes when I started it.
Oh, you got your value for your money. Have you got anything else that you want to talk about? Any of the characters or any of the scenes that stood out, or?
That's probably it for me. I think we've gone through a fair bit of it.
I reckon we're pretty much. If you just don't want to watch the movie and just listen to the highlights, I think download this podcast.
I think when Lil Pete showed why he's had a strong neck, I think when that scene came on, when he was getting hung, banged, and he was swinging around, and laughing and joking. That was when the movie just crossed a new level of political incorrectness. And that's what I thought. If someone had walked in on me watching that movie right now, watching a guy hanging from his neck, swinging around, they would just be like, what on earth are you watching? And that's, for me, that's when I knew that there were no limits to what they were going to do or say. And just...
there's a couple of things like, you make a movie, you've got to try and chuck something in underneath. There's got to be something in there underneath somewhere. Revenge, I felt, was like something that was like really, really seen throughout the film. Like Tommy's trying to revenge his mum's death the whole film, but at the end of the day, he kills the guy that kills his mother. So the whole revenge thing, and to me, there was a massive black hole in this film. Like he didn't I don't know, just did my head in.
So the twist of Frank, or their father, being a crook and blindsiding them, we all saw that coming, right? That's,
always going to happen.
I kind of almost, every time you saw him, he was a jerk. Every time you heard about him, he was a jerk.
Yeah.
If he'd have gone in and been like happy family, you'd be like, oh, that wasn't true to his character. But on the flip side, I wish they had tried to trick us a little bit. Like, I feel like Adam Sandler or Tommy didn't even like him, but all of a sudden he was just like, I got to get this for Dad. I kind of wish it would have been a nice little payoff if he screws him at the end and you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
That would have preferred that, but they didn't even try and make that happen.
Yeah. They made it pretty obvious from the start.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When he gives him the money and they go off and then he's talking to each of his sons and introducing him to each of his sons, I was like, maybe there is going to be a nice happy ending to this film. And then I looked at the thing, I was like, oh shit, there's another half an hour. I was like, oh, it's not going to end. It's not going to end. So why do you think then? Why didn't his dad redeem himself in the end? Was he just that bad a guy?
Beyond, I mean, you get the vibe that if they had gone to another few towns, they would have met a few other brothers. That was
just
him.
He was just a bad guy, an outlaw. Just that was just his way of life.
Wasn't it? There was like that comment that Tommy said about his dad, he's always trying to find this place where he had his biggest take or his biggest heist, and it turned out to be that was where he met his mum.
That's a good point.
So there is some sort of niceness to his character somewhere.
True. Yeah. That's a good point.
But maybe that was also lost on him a long time ago.
But he kept telling, so he worked out where it was, and based on that being the story of him meeting his mother. So if his mother was his biggest catch of, his career.
Does that explain why Tommy's less of a screw up than all the other ones?
Yeah. Well, I feel like Tommy is still a bit of a screw up. He's like this guy who think I don't know. It's too hard to explain. To me,
he's got a lot more going for him than the other five.
He does.
Luke Wilson's character wasn't that
actually
bad.
Terry Crews as well.
Terry Crews on too. He can play the piano with his bits. That's a skill to have. That's a skill to have. What did you think about the brotherhood? They seem to all.
I think that's where the charm came from.
Yeah.
The characters were likable. As ridiculous as that word again. I like them, and I like their relationship, and I like their bond. I mean, they all seem to have nothing except each other.
Yeah.
That was kind of charming.
Yeah, I liked that they were able to replace the absence of their father with these new connections that they made with each other.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I thought that was good. That was really good. So, I don't know, I thought the first 20 minutes of this film was absolutely horrible. I was struggling. I'm like, how am I going to get through this?
Yeah.
What turned it around? What made it watchable from then on?
Well, I think the first 20 minutes or whatever, there was no structure. You didn't even know where it was going.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure. To be honest, actually, watching this film, I didn't know that they were all brothers. I didn't know that until I started watching the film.
Me neither.
I just thought it was just going to be a group of guys coming together.
Yeah.
And when
he met all those brothers.
Yeah, when Rob Schneider's like, this is your brother, I'm like, okay, this will get him started and he'll start finding people. And then when Taylor Lautner's like, oh, it's my dad, I was like, this is what we're doing. And in my head, I'm like, how's Terry Crews fit into this? But
it was like they had to create a stereotype of every stereotype we have and make him a brother.
Stereotypes are everywhere in this film.
Yeah.
How did it turn around though? I guess once there started to be a bit of structure, once they started bonding as a group and we realised what they were doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't just sitting there watching stuff happen on the screen.
Exactly. They kind of established a plan of what was going to happen and, as you said, a bit more structure to the film and got you going.
Would it have been better on the big screen?
Not necessarily, wouldn't have thought.
Would have been quite disappointed if I had paid money and gone to see the movies.
If I walked in so the same year this came out, Hateful Eight came out.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Exactly the same year. So you got the Ridiculous Six, the Hateful Eight, both Western movies with numbers in the title. To me,
What was better?
I didn't hate the Hateful Eight.
Oh, right.
I didn't hate it.
Oh,
I thought it dragged on like
I enjoyed it.
No Tomorrow. Didn't hate it wasn't horrible, but it's just like at the same time like two Western movies in the same year that both dragged out. I thought and both went nowhere.
It's dragged out in a different way, though. I mean, there's a lot
so?
more storytelling and a lot more twists in the Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Come on, let's not compare these two films. Like,
I was going to say, when are you going to stop comparing this Quentin Tarantino Hateful Eight to this?
Why not?
yeah, hey, why not?
You got Channing Tatum in one film. You got Adam Sandler in the other one. When would you recommend watching it, or not? Or would you just say don't watch it at all?
Chuck it on. That's it's one of those movies. You chuck it on.
A lazy Sunday afternoon where you just kind of just want to sit on the
Hungover.
couch, relax. Yeah, just chuck something on.
You might be doing something in the house anyway. So
Don't mind having a bit of a snooze in between.
When you don't have to concentrate on something, you just want to watch something. You don't want to really get too fixated and concentrate on a serious movie. Just it's an easy watching movie.
But don't watch it with any sort of critical hat on. Just take it for what it is. It's not trying.
Take it
to
for
be
the movie
anything
title.
else.
It's a ridiculous movie, and go knowing it is going to be pretty stupid and ridiculous.
And you'll enjoy it more. Yeah, I can't vouch for that enough.
Did anyone jump onto IMDb to look up anything as we were watching?
Yeah, I jumped on the moment that Nick Nolte came on screen, the father, just to kind of see what else he'd done recently, because it felt like quite a fall from grace from him to be starring in this. I enjoyed quite a lot of old Nick Nolte movies back, from the 80s and early 90s. So yeah, when I saw him on, I'm like, oh, okay, what's he been up to recently?
Has he been up to much?
Not too much.
But you can't really say that. Why are they doing that? Because you could literally say about all of them.
Yeah,
they're all big stars.
I guess it was more Nick Nolte because he hadn't really been in those silly comedy movies like the rest of the cast with Adam Sandler.
True. For me, it was the guy from the other group. You know that group that kept following them?
The Eye Patch.
Yeah, the Eye Patch group. That's right. The fat guy with dark skin was Huel from Breaking Bad.
And
Saul Goodman's bodyguard.
Yeah, Saul Goodman's bodyguard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, Jesse?
I did, when I saw Jorge Garcia on the screen, I was like, I need to see what this guy's been doing lately, because to me, his character in this was just woeful, and I just wanted to see him looking like a normal person again. So
just feel good about yourself
his
again.
face, just to see what he looks like.
Ah, there you are.
Yeah.
Has he been doing much?
Yeah, what's he been doing?
No, he's
cameos in How I Met Your
He's in
Mother?
Hawaii Five-0. He's been in that for a while, but yeah, I don't know. I was really disappointed.
I loved him in Alcatraz. So.
Yeah, I was disappointed he was in this. It sort of broke my heart. hurt a little bit. Do you reckon the ethnic groups in this film, were they funny, or was it just really were they just stereotypes that weren't funny at all?
You know what? They weren't that funny because they didn't try. I think there was no subtlety to it, which is okay, sometimes. But look at a comedy like Superbad, which is pretty crass and doesn't try and be that subtle, but they do it in a way where it's relatable and it's fun, and we've all been there. Whereas this didn't even try. It was just so blunt.
Is this something that, if it was made in the 90s or the early 2000s, it would have been a bigger hit? And it's just that society's changed in the way that they take films. If Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore came out, if they came out today, would we be like, what the hell, this is like...
Maybe.
Is it because we've changed that much and we've become a bit more politically correct and we've become a bit more mature in the way that we take on comedies, that Adam Sandler just hasn't changed the way he makes films?
But I guess in a sense that the racism side of things in this, though a lot of other movies where they're blunt and crass don't touch on those areas, because it's a risky thing to be blunt about.
Yep.
And maybe that's where it really falls down, that they've picked areas where you're actually going to really piss people off. But they just didn't try. That was the thing. They didn't try.
The other thing that annoyed me was that, they were out there stealing from bad people, so they used that as an excuse for their actions. Just because they were stealing, it was like Robin Hood almost.
Yeah, Robin Hood. Yeah. They robbed a bank at one stage.
Yeah.
What are they doing wrong? Just looking after everyone's money.
Yeah. And just because they were doing it for their righteous cause, I don't know, I just felt like that was a bit undersold.
Yeah, true, but I just don't think the film thought about it enough to
probably
do
not.
it.
Probably not at all.
We've got limited places that you can rob in this era.
Yeah.
We've got to rob them all.
How else are they going to get that kind of money? They're going to have to rob. What else are they going to do?
What happened with the gold nugget? They ended up with that, didn't they? And that didn't end up in any satchel or any...
Yeah.
That's right. They did, didn't they?
Just disappeared.
Yeah, because then they got robbed. They just took like the satchels. And
yeah.
the satchels back. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Let's not try and point out plot holes. You're all that.
So before I guess we give our final rating, is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up about the film?
You can't forget that this is the title and this is what they're selling, and if you're trying to overthink that, that's on you. That's not on the film.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to lose sight of that. And at the end of the day, I think the characters are kind of likable, and I think that's where that charm comes from that I spoke about. I mean, anyone expecting this to be more than what it is probably kidding themselves anyway. And you just really got to lean into what they're trying to make, and it certainly does help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty
Yeah,
good
I
summary.
agree with that. Absolutely.
Pretty good summary. So let's go around the table like we do each episode. We're going to give the film a rating out of 5, and then we're going to give it a average score from the panel, and then we'll put that on our social media account. So MJ, you want to give us your score out of 5 to begin?
So I think I said 2.5, and I'm really wondering whether to do 2. Just the more we speak about it. Now you know what. No, let's do 2. Stick with 2.5.
2.5.
I mean, that charm got me, and I still like those characters, and I can see myself putting it on again. I really can. I don't know why, but I can.
Good. Hater?
Well, yeah, it had some funny moments. It's not one that I will be putting on again to watch. I give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Ooh, that's our lowest score so far out of 2 episodes. You're harsh. I'm giving it 2.5 as well, as the same as MJ. First 20 minutes were probably the hardest 20 minutes of a film I've seen in a long time.
It stunk.
It stunk. I thought it picked up a bit. Once they got on the road and started doing things, it wasn't too bad. But the ending, geez, like seriously, like everyone, happy families, dancing around. I was just like,
They all just joined
in. It was like,
clan,
So hopefully they don't make a sequel. But yeah, so I think we add up those 3 scores. We've got 2 2.5s, and a 2. And Heater, what does that
So
come to?
that gives this film an average of 2.3.
2.3.
Bless
Wow.
calculators,
Bless calculators. So 2.3 from us for The Ridiculous 6.
I reckon if you listen to the first 10 minutes of this podcast again, we actually had a lot of fun talking about it. So, like, it's a kind of thing that you can laugh about with people once you've spoken about it, because we hadn't spoken about it till right now, and that was actually a good laugh. So
It was.
more than I laughed in the film. So
Good luck finding someone who's actually seen it to talk to them about it, though.
remember, it's
It'd been
seen
watched
more times in
the first
30 days than any
and-
other movie in Netflix history.
Probably everyone working at Netflix just left it on repeat on their TV. So this week, social media. We've got our Flix Forum on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're going to put a question up there for this week, and the question this week is: does having the word ridiculous in the title excuse the film from being offensive? Ooh.
Good question.
I think my stance is pretty clear on this.
I think that's why I thought we could tie that in pretty well. That's I think you've argued quite well for that point, but we'll see what you guys like to say. Hit us up on our social media platforms. Next week, we'll be doing the 3rd Netflix film, which is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Sword of Destiny. It's a 2016 action drama starring Donnie Yen and Michelle Yeoh, so please take the time to watch it before we discuss it. Thanks, guys, for another good episode. I feel like we're starting to hit the ropes a little bit, starting to work out what's going on. We will see you next episode, and thanks again, guys.
See you next time.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, MJ.